Hello and welcome to,
Hey, we like your pod.
and we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, and I'm joined, as always, by my trusted partner, Matt Pickett. How you doing, Matt?
Fantastic. Doing great. Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it, of course, but like coming off of my trip to Green Bay to Wisconsin, this week's
Woo!
just flying by.
Yeah.
I took last Friday and this past Monday off for a nice 4-day weekend for time for travel,
Ooh.
A 4-day work week. No complaints there. I'm doing great. I got to present in a bunch of classes this week for various reasons, and so just more time in classrooms, more students to talk. Yeah, fantastic week. Hey, Dawn, how you doing?
I am doing well. I got my first pumpkin pie today
Oh,
while I was out.
mhm.
Yeah, my neighbors will
Love
be
that.
happy because I can't eat the whole thing. I always distribute the sweets around. It's like I was at Costco, so it's an enormous pie.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. So usually I'm like give a half of it to my friend or whatever. But yeah, I've got lots of slices to give out this week. So that's fun.
Nice. I wish I were there to get a slice. Dawn,
I
earlier today, I
know.
hered my first Christmas song being used in a commercial.
Oh
I
my
was like,
God.
no, not
No.
time yet.
No.
That made me upset. And actually, I was upset about it. I didn't like it one bit. I mean, I'm all
No.
for I like the Christmas music. It's great music, but it's not even Halloween yet. It's not time. So I think it was
Yeah.
Target. Come on, man.
Oh,
What
of
are you doing?
course.
Let's
Yeah.
not.
I was surprised they had pumpkin pie. I just went over to Costco to pick up a prescription at the pharmacy,
Mhm.
and I was with my friend, and she's like, "I'll go inside with you." And I'm like, "Okay, let's look around." And I was like, "Do you think they have pumpkin?" Again, we walked in, and there were all these Christmas decorations and trees
Ugh,
and stuff, and which started a couple weeks ago, honestly.
yeah.
And then I was like, "Huh, I wonder if they have pumpkin pie," because that's what gave me the thought. It's like, isn't it too early for pumpkin pie? I mean, back in the day, it wouldn't have even been, it would have been unheard of. You don't even eat it until after Thanksgiving. Like
No,
Thanksgiving is when
no. You mean
out,
it at Thanksgiving? What do you mean after?
right? Right. And then after for, a month
Yeah, no.
while you're
Okay,
eating
yeah, sure.
everything. It's when the pig out, really, the great American pig out begins. It's gross. Yeah, I had a big, big, big piece and I felt sick, but I
Oh,
still
sure.
enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't deal very well with junk food, but it's okay. It's okay. All righty. Well, hey, I can't wait to hear all about your trip back to the homeland.
Yeah. I So all right. So I was at the game last weekend, the Packers versus
Mhm.
Cardinals,
Mhm.
and it's my third season in a row of going to games at Lambeau, and the last two, from oldest to newest, were the Cowboys game 2 years ago. It was Christian Watson's big breakout game. He had 3 touchdowns. It's very exciting, and it was actually a last minute win for the Packers in overtime. That's the thing people don't remember about that game, is that we actually
Mm.
went to overtime.
That's
So it was
right. It
amazing.
was a really good one for you. I
Yeah,
remember.
it was
Yeah.
a very exciting game. I
Yes.
saw it with Todd Varney and some other
Yeah.
folks too, Celia Diaz, and some other folks were with us, and
Mhm.
like we were just so ridiculously pumped afterwards, just like screaming and jumping and
Oh,
crying
yeah.
and laughing, and it was just such a amazing experience to have all that drama, such a
Mhm.
release at the end after all the worrying, like, are we going to make it through the overtime? So very
Mhm.
dramatic game, very fun. The game I went to last year was, of course, with you. We had an amazing
Yeah.
time seeing the Packers just barely hang on to beat the Saints,
Squeak
who are
by.
stinking up the game tonight on Thursday Night Football.
Uh-huh.
And of course, that was also very exciting because the Packers, came from behind, took the lead, and then the Saints had the chance to actually go down the field, get a field goal,
Yeah.
and win the game, steal it back from us, which we had
Mhm.
just
Which
stolen
we
from them.
thought they were gonna do. We
Thought they're
were
going
like,
to.
"Okay,
And you know
oh,
what happened, of course,
well."
Don? What happened?
Yeah.
They
What
missed the
happened?
field goal. That's what
They
happened,
missed
right?
the field goal. It
And
does
so
happen now and then.
every now We're not the only one with kicker problems. So that, of course, very exciting, very dramatic. We thought we were going to lose. We were all very nervous about it. And like just seeing the Packers come back in that game itself was very exciting. So, when that was done, you and I, we were super pumped. We were yelling,
Oh
we
my
were screaming,
gosh.
we were jumping, we were crying. We were doing it all, right?
Oh.
Okay. So 2 super dramatic games. So going to the Cardinals game, I'm so happy that it was a dominant trouncing of the Cardinals.
Yeah, that's what I wanted for you. Yes.
There was no drama.
Right.
And I don't mean to complain about that because I'll take a dominant performance every single day on Sunday. But it was weird that it was so like anticlimactic. Like really, when the game ended, Don, I was like, okay, I guess time to go home now. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, because by the end of the second quarter, I was like, oh, they're just running away with this, and they just kept running. It was all all gas, no brakes for the Packers in this one, which was fun to see. And also it was raining for the whole first half. And like, you know what? I'd rather sit in rain in Lambeau than be almost anywhere else in sunny weather. But still, it was raining on us. I got ponchos at Dick's Sporting Goods in Madison on my way to Lambeau. And so at least I had that. It was like a trash bag with a G on it, basically. That's about how durable it was. It was single use for sure.
Right.
It wasn't designated on the packaging and such. It was definitely single use. But one thing I'm just kind of skipping past here is that last year sitting with you, I was in the same seats this year with my dad.
Yeah, so that looks like you had the same seats.
It was exact same seats. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah,
sitting there and watching with my dad, sitting and standing, with my dad was awesome because, as I've said many times on the show, when I'm watching the Packers games, I'm texting with my dad and we're going back and forth. And so to be able to just like be there and talk to him, of course, was amazing. And so basically, I drove up on Friday. Got to see my mom and her husband for dinner on Friday, but I got up like from Cincinnati to Wisconsin like a lot faster than I anticipated. So I had a couple hours to kill, but it was good because I just spent the time kind of wandering around the East Town Mall in Madison because I just needed to get some steps in, get out of the car, walk around, and I knew I'd be able to find some kind of like discounted Packers stuff. So I found like a nice, really basic Packers shirt for like less than it would have cost at the pro shop. So I was happy about that. Found some nice Packers socks for half off and found those nice ponchos. Had a nice dinner with my mom and her husband, and then stayed at my dad's house because they both my parents live in the Madison area. So stayed overnight at my dad's. Got to see my dad and his wife Kathy, who, to just a little bit of in the weeds here, my dad's been married to Kathy since I don't know, forever. They started dating when I was in 3rd grade. It's like forever and ever. Kathy's like always been in my life. My mom's husband Joe, they got married after my wife and I were married, actually. So like he hasn't been around as long, but of course we love him just as much. But anyhow, point being, so really good to see Kathy and my dad in Oregon where I grew up. And then in the morning, on Saturday morning, my dad and I drove up to Appleton because we met up with cousin Brad, who
I hope you said hi from
I
me.
did. He said hi back. He was really excited to hear from you. So met up with cousin Brad. But here's the thing, Dawn. Not just cousin Brad, but also my cousin Shane was in town. Shane is one of my favorite cousins. I haven't talked about him a lot. He hasn't come up much on the show. But he is the oldest Pickett cousin. He is one of 3 from the same mom and dad who they all moved up to California when they're very young. So we call them the California kids. He still lives in California. So apart from the California kids, I'm actually the oldest cousin of the Pickett side. But we don't see Shane very much because he's out in California. So he came into town for the game. And in fact, that's why I went to the Cardinals games, because that's the one he said, I'm gonna come out for that specific one. And so Shane, it was amazing to see him, of course. He came with his son, Will, who I haven't seen since before COVID, and probably not since he was like single-digit years old. He's he's a grown adult now and everything. So it's crazy to see Will like as a grown-up. Right. But then they also brought along a good friend of Shane's, Bo, and his 2 kids, who were also like, young adults. So it's like this whole troop of those guys, and also my Uncle Lee, who I haven't seen in, I don't know, a decade. So seeing all these family members, meeting some new friends, being there with my dad and with cousin Brad, it was so great. It was so great, Don. So we spent Saturday just kind of like bumming around the Titletown district, just kind of soaking it in, getting some beer, getting some food, getting some beer, getting some food, going to the pro shop. And the highlight, though, so here it is, Don. All right, the highlight of Saturday is that I know a guy who knows a guy, right, who works for the Titletown district. And so we were able to get a tour, not like the
Mhm.
regular stadium tour that you can like sign up for, costs like $15, whatever, which is great. I did that 2 years ago.
Mhm.
But deeper than that, Dawn, when you go on the stadium tour, the regular stadium tour, you'll walk past the locker room. They'll be like, that's the players' locker room. We cannot go in there. You're like, yeah, of course not. Why not?
Right.
Like, I get it, right? Of course.
Right.
While having somebody who like works there and can like take you kind of all access everywhere, we got to go in the locker room. We got to go and see like the weightlifting facility, their indoor
Wow.
practice facility, not the one across the street or whatever, but like they actually have one in
Right.
Lambeau, kind of in the
Right.
bowels of the building.
Right.
And in this like little practice facility, it's like a half field, and on both sides of the field they have these like massive projection places where they can put up like video of like the defense and the offense of the other team for that week, so they can like study it like on a field basically. We got to see,
Oh.
you know when they Packers social media posts like we're asking the players funny questions as they walk to practice, you know that what I'm talking about. They'll be
Yep.
like, what's a thing that I can't think of an example. It'd be silly, but,
Macaroni and cheese, something. Some
yeah,
of them.
like
All of them.
what
All the
if you could be a
questions.
robot? I don't know, just weird things they ask them that are always funny, right?
Yes.
I got to be in that hallway. I was inside that hallway, which I know it sounds like kind of like silly, like I was near the
No,
hallway,
you should have had
but
your
like
cousin like ask you a question as you're walking by and put it on video.
I did do a video of me walking towards the camera, so I did
I
kind of
love
but I
it.
couldn't think of a question for them to ask me. So
We can make some memes for
saw
you.
that walk past like the
Oh,
meeting
fun.
rooms for the different like position groups. Like there's like a tight attendance meeting room which has like caution tape on it, so that's funny. Rec room, so on and so forth. The cafeteria, and there's one other thing I was going to mention. What was it? And there's one other thing. Just seeing a whole bunch of like behind the scenes stuff.
Right.
It was
Oh,
so
I
cool.
love that
so
for
cool.
you. I love that.
It was so cool.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I know that like the friend of the friend was allowed to do this, so that was totally in bounds, but I just don't want to like out the guide. I'll sort of say like,
No.
if you're out there, if you're hearing this, dude,
Thank you.
that was awesome. You're
Oh,
awesome. It was so
that's
cool.
wonderful. Yes. Yes. Way to go, Maddie.
Yeah. So that was Saturday. Sunday, we got there early. We were gonna tailgate, but it was raining. So we decided just like, let's just go and hang out at like the tailgate village and go to a couple bars before the game. And did the game, went to a dive bar afterwards, watched the crazy afternoon games, which were just like super uneven, like the line destroying the Cowboys. And what was it, Don? Do you remember? So they're like super uneven one.
I didn't watch that one. I watched games. Lord only knows what games, but I did watch. I probably watched the Chargers because I tend to. Somebody's texting me. Sorry, I just got my side totally sidetracked. I should not have read that text because it was like, what? Okay, never mind.
Suffice to say, there were two games on. They were both uneven. They were not fun to watch because of that.
And then Sunday Night Football.
I watched the end of back in my dad's house because ultimately we drove back to.
Right, that's when I texted you. You were just getting in. Yes.
Right. Because that was because Bengals were playing that night, right?
It was the Bengals, right?
Then drove home on Monday, and the drive from Madison to Cincinnati, both directions, is like super boring, and I don't mind that. It's nice to have just a boring drive where you can put on your podcasts, and just kind of blast off, especially on Monday. It's all the like recap podcasts, all the kind of
all of it.
All that like a recap's the best word I can think of. So that was great, and I will say too,
overreaction Mondays.
Yeah, I love it.
All the reaction videos. Yes,
so tasty. So one last thing I'll say to wrap up my story here is well, actually, I'm wearing a garment that I purchased at the pro shop.
Nice.
So you can see like
nice. Is that
super,
a dark green?
Super warm sort of a waffle sweatshirt. Sort of it's more of a gray. It comes across as green in some lighting, but it's really kind of like a dark gray. I had to buy this on Saturday. One, because the friend of the friend who works at Lambeau let us use his employee discount, 30% off.
No. How much off did you get?
30%.
Ooh,
yeah, that's pretty
nice.
good.
Yeah, I like the waffle one. I was looking at the waffle myself.
Yeah. So because I realized I didn't pack warm enough clothes for the game. Yeah. So this with a jersey on top and a poncho on top of that was perfect. If I hadn't purchased this, and it's very, very warm, I would have been very, very cold. So that was a good pickup. And okay, the last thing I was really going to say though, for real, is how it is when you go to Wisconsin. If you're driving, you better be driving home with some Spotted Cow and some other Wisconsin beers, otherwise you just missed out, you know. So before leaving, of course, I stocked up on Spotted Cow, on the New Glarus Oktoberfest Staghorn that I really like, and I also got some of the Hinterland Brewery, the cherry wheat, and also they have a blueberry wheat that I checked out too. I had a can tonight. It was delicious. So this has been my TED Talk. Thank you for listening to my story about
I
the
am
game.
so glad. I've been
It's so
dying
fun.
to speak with you, to hear about every little detail. I love every minute of it. The only thing I would want, and I don't think they have it anymore in October, is in Wisconsin that you can't get out here, is the summer shandy, that real lemony. I love that. Katie likes that too. She's like, I just want a summer shandy. I was like, me too. When she got last year when she came to the games. So, oh, that's so cool. We each had one weekend of Packers experiences that are very different and very special. I love that so much. Well, I'm wearing a white sweatshirt because it's white out this week.
Yes.
So I'm wearing white with my green glasses and I'm wearing green pants. So I am ready to roll. I am so excited about this upcoming game to see where we're at. Like, it's going to be a real test.
Yeah, and like because the team is really rounding into form now after that last game, it's like, oh, here's what we expect them to be. Well, yeah, hopefully they continue that, you know, to this game. So yeah, you're right. Like exactly, it's a great test. Here we are, like more or less full strength. How will we do against a team that is, like, many people think of it as being, you know, our AFC, you know, doppelgangers in a lot of ways. Will we be able to hold up and look amazing like we did this last weekend? I think we'll win. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be very exciting, a very stressful game to watch. What do you think?
I don't necessarily think it's going to be close, because it's a home game, and I've seen them play a little, but they're very imperfect. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. So,
and they're banged up too.
I was going to say they have some injuries, and also depends on how many people are still on our injured list this coming week too. So we got away with very few bad injuries, right, from the Cardinals game.
Yeah, I think this was Dontavian Wicks was injured, but he's already back at practice. It's just still a shoulder thing. So I think the only person not practicing who wasn't on IR is like Devontae Wyatt, I think, and he's like a really good piece of the defense, and would be great if we had him. But like, if he's the only person who's banged up, like, that's pretty good.
Is he the one? Didn't he? Wait a minute. Did he? He didn't get traded. There's been so many trade things I've been trying to keep up with this week. I was even going to be adventurous and talk about some of those podcasts, but it's just too much. It's like,
it's been a lot this week. Yeah, a lot of trades. It's almost like the Raiders traded Devontae Adams, you know, of course, to the Jets, and everyone else was like, "Oh, I want to trade too. Let me get in on the action."
Oh, so many trades. So many trades. Maybe that's not who I'm thinking. Obviously. Anyway, okay, cool. Well, I'm in my winter white. Let's do our superlatives, and we can get back to the game. And because we do not have a guest tonight, right?
That's right.
So it's just our superlatives. So, hey, Maddie, do you want to volley?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, I'll volley to you. I will start.
Sounds good.
My first one is, I should have been ready before I did it. Okay, my first superlative, most just. This is just a quick, if you're interested in the Gruden versus NFL lawsuit. There was a pretty big update this week. I'm not going to go into it, but basically, yeah, I don't know if you remember, but they tried to dismiss John Gruden's lawsuit, but he brought it to a higher court, and so he's getting it. And this is regarding the leaked emails that led to John Gruden's firing from the Raiders. Okay. Who leaked those emails in the middle of a season to get the head coach fired from another team? Who did that? Who was motivated to do that? It's very intriguing. I have some ideas.
Yeah.
But so the lawsuit isn't against anyone in particular. It's against the NFL corporation. So the Nevada Supreme Court is going to conduct a full review of the lawsuit that he had filed. So they brought it up to the Nevada Supreme Court after it was dismissed earlier, which I didn't think it was dismissed, but That's what it was saying here in this article. And then the state Supreme Court has opted not to schedule oral arguments, which I don't love.
Mhm.
Even though I don't think those would be broadcasted or recorded, but still. But announced Thursday that all 7 justices will review the case after a 2-1 panel decision on May 14th to dismiss it. So on July 1st, that same 3-judge panel rejected a request from Gruden's attorney to reconsider the case, also by 2-1. So they also said, this panel also ruled that the NFL could move the civil case into arbitration, which would keep everything under wraps.
Mhm.
Potentially overseen by, guess who? Goodell.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he's the defendant. So that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But 2 justices noted that Gruden was aware when he signed the contract with the Raiders that arbitration was the NFL's method for resolving disputes, of course. But remember, it was 2-1. The one dissenting justice argued it would be outrageous for Goodell to arbitrate a case which he personally was named as a defendant. You think? I mean, come on. All right. So, so they haven't had public response or anything like that. But basically, they're saying in the lawsuit that Gruden, just by way of review, that Gruden pressured the Raiders to fire John Gruden over these emails.
Mm-hmm.
And, so, and the emails were old emails. They weren't ongoing. So, yeah. And so it's kind of like, who was Goodell? Whose dirty work was Goodell's work doing? Which owner wanted him out? So on and so forth. So that's just intriguing. And I feel like we should be really paying attention to that, because there's only 32 teams. There's only so many games, only so many owners. I mean, it's a small world in a way.
Yeah.
And this is not acceptable to have a head coach just fired outright in the middle of the season, not for anything that he was doing during that season. Should there have been actions taken against him? Sure. But why did he get pressure? Why did Gruden, if true, allegedly true, pressure the owner of the Raiders to fire Gruden? That's really interesting to me. That was a weird, Anyway, so that's my first one. Most just. We're always liking justice, and let's just say transparency. There's none so far, except for these little tidbits. Thankful for some reporters still covering this.
All right. So I'm glad you're keeping our eyes on that sort of a thing, because that's important. And it sounds like they're trying to cover it up and make it like secret.
Yeah.
Shine a light on that. Shine a light on that.
Thank
awesome,
you.
Dawn. All right. Well, my first one is best question. So, the last week and a half in Romeo Dobbs's life has been really, none of us really know what has been like. I should say we don't know, but he's been dealing with stuff. Last week going into let me think. So going into the Rams game, of course, he wasn't allowed to play in the game, but then he came back for the Cardinals game and was amazing. 2 touchdowns. And after his first touchdown, when all the players came over and like mobbed him and hugged him, and it's just like, just seeing that happen, it was just like, like my breath caught. Like, throat, just like, this is so beautiful.
I know. It was so sweet. I know. And it happened like right in front of you. You practically could touch
right
them.
There. It was right there. And
you
so
got that great shot too, by the way, that great photo.
Thank you. Yeah. I was excited about these shots I got of Romeo like reaching across the goal line, and like it was, I got like loads of them. And then Evan Siegel, like, of course, has this amazing picture of it.
He was like, I'm like, he was on the field.
He's on silence with a much better camera, but like I was just like, oh man, that's a good picture. So
yours is pretty
Evan
good.
Siegel's like, he's a wizard. So of course it's been like a weird past couple of weeks really for Romeo Dobbs. And so before the Cardinals game, he had a locker, press availability where everyone was
Mhm.
asking questions. So the best question, I think the most important question, was Lauren Helmbrecht, who's a local reporter for one of the TV stations, I think in Green Bay. She just said, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And that moment of like humanity and connection and like caring and empathy, I feel like no other questions need to be asked. Just like, "Hey
Right.
man, are you okay?" Like,
Right.
we're all pulling for you. We want you to succeed. Like, just, are you okay?
Mhm.
I feel
Mhm.
like everybody should have backed all the way out of the way. Let her say that first, and then, like, let's establish that, and then let's start asking questions. You
Yeah,
know what I
let
mean?
that breathe a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, mad
Mhm.
props to Lauren Halbrecht for being the right person at the right time. Just
Right on,
being
Lauren.
a person. You know?
Exactly, exactly. I was so concerned about him
Yeah.
that whole weekend, when we were watching the Rams game here in
Mhm.
LA, and I'm glad to see he's, playing again and evidently dealing, but it's just, yeah, it's a concern. It's a concern, and more people. I mean, I know some. I didn't see. I have a tendency to only see the positive comments. I know people were saying, "Oh, these people,
Mhm.
were saying bad things," but I was seeing a lot of positivity and concern toward him immediately as soon as they announced that he was suspended. And I mean, I was like, "What? Why did he do that?" And then immediately I was like, "Well, he has to have a reason. Like, there must be something going on." That's just my go-to. But I was
Right.
really happy to see other people, having that kind of compassion toward him. And I'm pretty sure, because there was many, many people like Lauren out there who
Mhm.
really do care about the person, not just what it means for for the team and the organization. I hope that some of his friends showed him some of the positive comments. I know he wanted to get off the social media for a while, which is smart, but there
Yeah.
was a lot of positive things toward him as well. And I
Yeah.
like that.
And let's look at Joe's comment here in the chat for a second. Hey Joe, he said that's why it pisses me off with the way Huber worded it in his initial article, and pisses me off with the way some fans and content creators were dogpiling Romeo. So I
Mhm.
want to say here, Bill Huber, I've talked about him a ton on this show. I got to meet him in person that one time.
Mhm.
He's probably my favorite beat reporter, and
Mhm.
so Joe, I gotta agree with you though, man. I was like, because okay, so for those who don't know, right, when
Mhm.
the news first broke about why Romeo wasn't showing up to practice, one
Yeah.
of the things that Bill said was that it was because he was upset about his role in the game plan. I think is how he worded it.
And it
But
was right up front in the article.
yeah,
According to sources, this
right,
is why that he was upset with,
his role
not
in the
getting
game
enough,
plan, target
tosses or
share,
whatever.
something like
Yeah,
that.
and not to interrupt, but I agree. But that's what I know exactly the article you're talking about.
Yeah, and so I feel like that was clearly only part of the story because
Right.
Romeo's dealing with some mental stuff
Something.
or personal and or family stuff. We don't know. We probably never will know. It's none of our business. So it's okay if we don't know.
Correct.
But yeah, it wasn't just like he was being a diva. I mean, like, I want more touches in this game. I'm going home. It wasn't like that at all.
Yeah.
That was like probably something triggered it. But it
That's
was
how
much
he
deeper than
might
that. So
respond. Mhm.
I think the way how Bill reported it, I don't. He might. I don't know. I don't know. I think he's defended it actually since, but of course, mixed feelings about it. So I'm with you on that, Joe. It
Mhm.
wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the best.
Wasn't the best. And you know what? Here's the deal. Like, let's say he is a diva. Let's say that he just flat out was throwing a temper tantrum. It
Mhm.
still shows that he needs some emotional
Yeah.
maturity. He needs some, but it is what it is. That'll work itself out. We don't
Mhm.
need to bag on a person because they're imperfect.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, unless they're imperfect so many times in going after other people and whatnot. But this dude was just, it was self destructive. And that's why I feel like bagging on him when he's already doing something that's clearly hurting himself more than
Mhm.
anybody
Yeah.
is the worst thing. So it'll work itself out even if he were a diva. But yeah, give somebody a little bit of space and grace. Hey.
Mhm. And I think it's worth mentioning too. He's 24 years old. Like,
Right.
and to be 24 and then like kind of to some degree a celebrity. Obviously he's not like a
Hmm.
celebrity like, I don't know, Tom Brady or something, but
Hmm.
still like millions of people know who he is and watch
Hmm.
him play, and he's under this microscope. Like, I
Hmm.
wasn't the the person I am now when I was 24. No, none of
No,
us were for
no.
even 10 years past that. You know what I mean? So
Right.
there's also that element of like he's just kind of barely an adult and like trying to figure things out in his third year in the league. Like there's a lot of things going on there.
Yeah, we don't know. We just don't know for sure. Well, my next superlative is sort of a theme, so I'm going to give you a couple, if that's okay with you.
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay, so this is fraternizing with the enemies. It's frenemy time. Okay.
I love these.
I know. So first one, biggest squabble goes to CJ Stroud. He likes to do the squabble. I don't know. Do you know that?
No, I was going to ask you, what are you talking about?
It's a dance.
Oh, okay.
It's his happy dance. Yeah, on the field. So we can watch for the squabble.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw CJ Stroud squabble, I was like, ooh, he got in a squabble. You know, I was like, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh no, it's his dance.
It's not an argument like it sounds like. It's a dance.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And so I just wanted to do a little bit of look into CJ Stroud and what he's all about. Mm-hmm. Since that's the quarterback that's going to be heading up the Houston Texans in Lambeau against the Green Bay Packers this week. So CJ, there's a cool video if you want to check it. It's like a short, so maybe 60 seconds. It's CJ Stroud's deep ball mechanics, a key to throwing a perfect spiral from Performance Lab, California. So it's just a nice little video that really shows the mechanics of throwing the ball, his posture, his footing, how he gets the torque and the speed. Man, that guy is built. I mean, he's solid. Like Jordan Love's a little more tall and lankier, you know.
Yeah.
So, which it just is what it is. But I didn't realize how I felt like he was smaller because I consider him to be so young, but he's really, he's filled out. So that's a good video of him throwing the ball. It's just really interesting to see that compared to our crazy bodied quarterback or silly bodied. It's kind of fun. It's going to be really fun to see the two of them juxtaposed. And then a nice article. I like to look into who the person is. So CJ Stroud's path to becoming a record-setting quarterback. This is when he was Ohio State football. The Journey, and this is from the Big Ten Network. And there's a YouTube, maybe about 20-minute one if you want to learn a little bit more about him. He's an LA born and raised boy, Southern California. But I'm just going to take a little piece out of another article quoting Stroud was raised for the majority of life by his mother and after his father, Coleridge Bernard Stroud III, pled guilty in 2015 to charges of carjacking, kidnapping, robbery, evading an officer with reckless driving, and a misdemeanor sexual battery. As a repeat offender, because he had a drug issue on and off during his life, not always. He went off the wagon, I guess, around 2014, 2015, which is really sad for CJ.
Yeah.
Because that's like when he was, he's really good at football. He was in high school. So as a repeat offender, he was sentenced to 38 years in prison. So he's in the prison system, like a penitentiary. So, and CJ talked about how he will call his father in prison, and his father will say that everybody would have been watching his game that day. And he's like, that's my son playing. And, so they still have a relationship. So as a result of this, Stroud spent a large portion of his childhood living with his three other siblings in a small apartment above a storage unit, while his mother worked to earn money to put food on the table. So he had a very humble, meager beginnings. And also, against the odds, he was once told by a teacher that he had check this out, this is very specific. And by the way, thanks, teacher. Okay, 0.0078% chance of making it into the NFL.
Oh, why did you say that to a person?
Yeah, when he was going through all that. maybe that's what she needed to say, because Stroud has made it to the top of his chosen sport. But I mean, it's true. Not everybody's going to make it into the NFL, but
Sure.
I mean, that's kind of interesting. So maybe he appreciates that teacher for saying that. I don't know. But I just thought that was an interesting little tidbit. So that's a little about CJ from LA. His mom's a darling, very supportive. He has a good relationship with her. And I think the father, I think for a while he had trouble obviously accepting what, his father was doing and all of that. But it seems like he's come to terms with it to some degree. So yeah, I like it. Appreciating and respecting our opponents as humans too, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the players are just, have really a lot of depth to them, and a long story, because getting to where they are would have taken quite a lot above average, things that most of us couldn't relate to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even like worst player in the NFL, still an elite athlete, and had to go through a lot just to get to the place of being actually on an NFL team. It is really, elite is what it is. The chances of getting in, 0.0078. Maybe that's actually true. I don't know if that did motivate CJ Stroud to like work hard and actually prove her wrong, then hey, it worked out. But yeah.
It's kind of a weird thing to say. I
Yeah.
mean, especially because he was clearly a great athlete in high school. He was already very successful. So I don't know. It's funny, but he clearly remembered it too.
Yeah.
Right. Because that was very specific. Like, that's a very specific number. I mean, maybe teachers just say that to kids to just maybe like, you should still study just in case you don't make it.
Have this, have a backup plan, basically. Know what you're going to do if that doesn't work out, because it's probably not going to work out. And then it did.
Right.
And it did. Joe mentions that Rogers had the same thing happen to him. And in fact, over the summer, I was like binging Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. And there's a couple different episodes actually clustered together where the guest on the show was like, yeah, I remember the exact person who told me I would never make it. Like the first talent agent that they met in Hollywood or whatever else. And they always remember that one person's name, It's like the episode with Harrison Ford especially is funny because like the way he says like that talent person's name, it's like it's so much like bitterness and bile just behind when he says the name, because that one person saying this one like terrible thing to him has propelled Harrison Ford to be this amazing iconic actor. So sometimes like one person being a jerk to you can do a lot. That's weird.
It is weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
All
right, should I do my next one?
Yeah. What do you have? Because that was it for me.
All right. My second superlative for this evening is best analogy. So this was crazy. I did not know where he was going with this. This was on the Repack podcast, which is one of the ones that comes out right after the game. Tex Western on frozen tundra frequencies. Usually he has somebody with him, whether it's Tyler Brook or Justice Mosqueda. This week was just him. So he started off by talking about this sort of mythical car muffler that was signed by Matthew Sweet, who was like a musical artist in the 90s. And he's talking about this muffler and how it ended up getting like kind of hung in this really great radio station, and it was like this thing that people thought was kind of funny. Oh, Matthew Sweet signed a muffler for a car. That's so strange. And then eventually at some point, I don't know what happened, but the thing was lost and no one knows what happened to it. And so then that's where Evan Tex Western started. He started there, that he said, and this reminds me of I guess sort of like a Packers doll. Doll's not the right word, but it's basically a doll. It's like where you can take off the limbs and the head, and if you're upset, throw the head at the screen, or whatever. Kind of like a funny little like
those tearaway things. Those tearaway dolls. Yeah,
exactly. Probably got like.
I think my parents have one.
Nice.
Oh, it's a ref though. It's a ref.
That's even better. That's hilarious. Pull the ref head off flag. So, talking about this one he had and how he had part of it was signed, and then eventually over time it was lost, and he never found it again. And where he's going with this is like 5 minutes into the podcast. Like, what are you talking about, man? Where's like the recap of the game? And finally, he brought it around to, and I'm hoping maybe Braden Narveson can find his kicking game again. It's just like, whoa, that was all like 5 minutes to like bang on Braden Narveson. That was crazy. Wow. So, was it the best analogy? That was the best one I heard this week. Was it the most fun one? Absolutely. Was it the craziest, most, windiest analogy? It's like he was channeling Matub and the way how Matub tells stories, but even more
Oh,
so. So,
yeah.
yeah, it was fantastic. Tex Western, man, I love your work. That was hilarious. I was laughing out loud in the car on the way home to Cincinnati. Great stuff.
Right. Because that was such the lead up, and then boom, boom. Then,
Boom.
and that's, yeah, it be just like 3 words and you got it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's powerful. All right, Maddie, that's good. What else do you have for us?
Oh, because did you do like your other two as?
Yeah,
as
because
a,
I did
gotcha.
like 3 in 1, and I
Okay.
forgot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, my last one is best strategizing. So, around the
Yes.
midpoint of the week, typically,
Mhm.
a lot of the podcasts switch from like, here's what happened in the last game to talking about what the next game is going to hold for us. And some folks will talk about the matchups, and we'll talk about strategy. Some people talk about Wednesday Pack a Day podcast talks about what they're looking for in the offense. For example, can't
Right.
talk all of a sudden. Thursday Pack a Day podcast will talk about what to expect from the defense. There's like very very much that move in the middle of the week towards like talking about what's coming up. And there was one podcast that I heard this week that I thought hit those notes better than any other one. Just really so much insight, so much quick, succinct, like well thought out things, and it'll be no surprise to you to know that it was Maggie Loney who was talking about it on Pax What She Said. My goodness, I've said it before. I'll say it again right now. I believe that Maggie Loney is one of the finest football minds in the Packers contentosphere, and
100%.
and for that matter, Perry was contributing really great stuff too. So not to give all the credit to Maggie and Perry both, a dynamic duo. This week on their midweek Pax What She Said was fantastic. Just breaking down like what the Packers need to do to hit like the weaknesses in the Texans. It was really, really good. I mean, I listen to their stuff like every week. I always check out their podcast, but this was like, it was a step above for them. So outstanding work, best strategizing from the way how Maggie kind of was breaking it down.
Oh, nice. Oh, I can't wait to listen to that. I'm a little behind. I guess really caught up in Woody Johnson. And then I spent way too much time listening to people talk about, what's his name? I just lost his name. Dallas Cowboys owner, the old guy.
Jerry Johnson.
Jerry. Oops, you froze. Matt froze. Oh, there you are. Jerry's World.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, losing that game on his birthday.
Oh.
I don't mind that. Don't mind that at all.
Yeah, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. I know. I got caught up in a lot of the other like bigger things, and kind of got a little sidetracked. It was all football, but not as much as specific. But I'm just happy. I'm happy I'm not having to listen, because how are they going to fix this and what are they going to do next?
Right,
It's kind of like a good. These next few games are really the proving ground for the rest of the season. I mean, it's really going to tell the story. It's going to get more to where I'll be obsessive and nervous and not walking on a cloud like I have been. So, great superlatives, Maddie.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah,
awesome stuff.
Good. Yeah. I like to. I'm going to watch CJ in a whole different way.
Yeah, it's good to know more about his backstory. I had no idea
from the beginning, though. I mean, he just seems like a fun guy to root for. I like him. I like certain players on like randomly on all kinds of different teams. I love Josh Allen. Really like Josh Allen.
Like him.
How do you not like Josh Allen? Come on.
He's like a golden retriever, and he's super funny. Like, I love him. He's great.
Yeah, he's a little bit like Chris Pratt.
Yes, I've often thought that he's like football Chris Pratt. Yeah.
But much more. And then who else do I? And of course, I love Justin Herbert over here, and from the Saints, from the Chargers. So, certain players. I can't help but love Brock Purdy. I'm sorry. I mean, I can't help it. He's just so.
He's like a cute little boy. Just cute boy.
So he's so like clean cut. I love him, and I just love the way he delivers. It's like, man, with all these big bodies all around him and stuff, and it's like he's just like beep, like the little farm boy. Sorry.
Little farm boy.
I'm not a tribal person. I mean,
Sure.
if we're playing a game against them, no, I'm not rooting for them. Don't
Right.
get me wrong. But yeah, I'm not a tribal person, but I do love my team, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, Maddie. Hey, well, let's let the folks get back to the game.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
two things. I said Jerry Johnson a second ago. I meant Jerry Jones, of course, owner
Jerry
of the
Jones.
Cowboys. Because you were saying Woody Johnson. I think I got it in my head. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's a poor excuse. And I was going to ask you real quick, actually, Don, because you mentioned the whiteouts that they're wearing this weekend. Do you like the look of their uniforms? Are you excited about it? I have mixed feelings, but how are you feeling about it?
They're okay. It's really
Okay.
white. I'm not really. Yeah, I like it. It's gonna get. I thought if it rained or anything, it's gonna get really dirty. They're not gonna be white for very long. But I guess it's not gonna be raining. I guess it's gonna be like 70 degrees, nice out.
I heard like 60 or something, but maybe 70, I guess. Yeah.
I think Wes and Mike said like 70.
Ooh, okay.
No
I'll believe
rain.
them. They're locals, so we'll take it. No
But
rain.
it could
like last
change. I mean,
weekend.
it's only Thursday, so
That's true. You never know. You never know. Ask Luke Sappy.
but they're okay. I like that little sparkle on the helmet. No, I like it. I don't mind it.
Mhm.
I like the beige pants, the taupe tan colored pants with the old school uniforms a
You
lot.
mean like with the blue jerseys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
A lot of people bag on that. That's the best one.
If I were designing for the whiteout, I probably would have done like those pants with some white and gold. Yeah. Yeah, I would have brought it like the neutrals because I really like the neutrals. So maybe I should, that's what I should do for fun, like design some uniforms.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Do some mock-ups.
Joe mentions in the chat here, when he looked last night, it was supposed to be 72 with a 13% chance of rain. That sounds
well. There
delightful.
we go. Thank you, Joe.
It was upper 40s, low 50s, raining for half of it last week. So yeah, huge difference.
Yeah. Ugh, that's kind of miserable because you didn't have any cover over you.
No, just a poncho. Because all the seats are like out in the open, of course.
Yeah,
so.
Those ponchos are great though when you need them. Like
they came in. It was good in a pinch. Yeah, it's a lot drier and warmer than I would have otherwise. So anyhow,
yeah. I had a fond memory of a poncho. I can't remember what it was. It's one of my trips where I just needed one. It's like this is the perfect thing. All right, Maddie. Well, let's bring her home and let's get back to the game. The Saints, what's it called? Saints. Oh, and that other team. Yeah.
The Broncos. Yeah, not the best game ever. So, friends, we'd love a chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and a football fan. If you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, please let us know. Our DMs are open on all the social platforms. And folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us to keep spreading the love in our community. And by the way, quick side note, Don, earlier today, Dusty posted that he's going to be over on Blue Sky more, and I was like, you know what? Let's check out Blue Sky. So I just switched over. I did not totally switch over, but just started an account over at Blue Sky. Matt Trumbo, of course. Check it out, folks. If everyone keeps moving over, we can get off of Twitter, which wouldn't be such a bad thing given the state of it. Anyhow, spreading the love in our community, which could include Blue Sky if we all go over there. And the best way to help this podcast keep growing is by sharing it with your friends and family.
Yes, Natty, that's right, because we love you. We're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL. We appreciate your support, subscriptions, and sharing our pod, and we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens.